Hey guys, it's the Urban Investor back with another video, and today we're going to review my top 5 coins for January. Now, before we jump in to the top 5 coins, I think it's important to provide some context and see where we are in the market. So today is the 22nd of December, it's around lunchtime in the UK, and I've just listed out here the top 20 coins on CoinMarketCap. Now, why have I done this? So what I want to highlight is in recent weeks, or in the last 7 days rather, there's been a massive pump in altcoins. We've seen altcoins rise. We can see double-digit, triple-digit growth, albeit with the exception of BitConnect here. But I'm not a fan of BitConnect, and not surprised that's going down because it's linked to Bitcoin. And we can see this is a Bitcoin comparative as well, not USD, just to really bring home the rise of the altcoins comparative to Bitcoin. So I don't think there's a massive opportunity at the minute in altcoins for growth in January because we've already seen much of the rise. If we look into the dominance for Bitcoin, we can see we're roughly around about the 45%. We're approaching the 40%. The last time we had this was back around June time. So we can see back around June time we were below 40. I think this was around about 38%. We are clearly approaching that level again. And I think again, as we approach, I don't know if we'll get to the 40% this time round. We're currently at 45, but if we do, we should see a pretty drastic, almost like correction in Bitcoin, because people will be back onto Bitcoin, and the focus is going to fall off the altcoins. It's just something that's happened in the past, we can see, and it takes a while for the altcoins to keep up. So we can see around about here we saw pen stop working, but we can see we had Bitcoin comparative to altcoins going up, and then we can see all of the altcoins dropping in value or struggling to keep up in comparative to Bitcoin. So I think that's important to note where we are in the market. So hence why we can see my first coin is Bitcoin in terms of opportunity. So let's jump straight into it. So Bitcoin, we can see where we are at the minute. We can see we're having a nice pullback. Nothing to be afraid of, guys. It's something that's normal in market cycles. We can see we've broken the 21-day moving average, coming from a high of 20k, currently holding at around about $13,600. And we can see the 50-day moving average is currently coming in at $11,000. We can see we did touch upon this level, and if my pen's going to work, it does, here in around about November, and then around about October time here. So we can see this has been a good level of support, and Bitcoin's managed to bounce back and rally. In terms of the 100-day moving average in green, we can see we haven't really had any touch point until around about September, and I think it was around about August time. That's the last time we've actually touched the 100 days. So in terms of my advice or my recommendations, not financial advice, just to be clear, I think anywhere between 12,000 and 10k is a good entry point. So we can see we did have a brief drop to 12,000k today. However, we very quickly recovered. So I think that's my recommended entry point. I think around about anywhere between 12,000 and 10k would represent a 40 to 50% correction, which is what happened back in November and back in August. So I think this is a good point. I think if you can sort of hold off currently coming in, again, it's a nice cheap. We're at 13,600. However, we can get even more of a discount at this level. So that's my recommended level. Now, usually, as you guys know, I usually provide sell levels. However, I don't sell my Bitcoin. I think at the minute I'm holding, and I invest my Bitcoin in altcoins when I want to move my position from Bitcoin. So that's just my personal view. So moving on to VERTCOIN. Now VERTCOIN is one of the very few altcoins that really didn't have a massive jump in price action comparative to other coins, as we saw double-digit growth. I think with VERTCOIN it actually was flat, or actually was declining in the last 7 days. Now, if we look at where we are currently at 53k, and I think a good entry point is anywhere between or below 55k. If I'm honest, that's where I've come in the past and made some good returns. So currently I've got 50k here, but anyway, we're currently at 53k. I think even then we can add in a position there, a dollar cost average, and 40k is usually where we sort of bottom out. So I think anywhere between here, I would dollar cost average, maybe putting 20% at 53k, another 30% of your funds at 50k, and then if we do hit the 40k, I would put the remaining 50k of my funds in here. So we can see also from a TA point of view, it's holding the 100-day nicely, bouncing back up early in December, and then currently holding around the 50 days. So I think, you know, if we hold at these levels, we can have another jump. We haven't really had any major movement, as I said, compared to the other coins. So I think this is one where there's opportunity in January. So what are my sell levels? Again, using the fib, my recommended levels would be to sell 25% of your portfolio, or my portfolio, at 70k mark. And this is at the 61.8% fib level, albeit slightly below, as always, to avoid institutional sell-offs. 95k at the 100% fib level, which is 25% of my portfolio, and then I'm hodling the remaining balance, because I think at the minute it's still quite, I'd say, early in terms of price movement. We've seen it's been around for several years, don't get me wrong, VERTCOIN, but I think at the minute it's not really reached massive highs since its big pump in end of October. It's sort of stagnated and come up a few times and not quite got that to that level. And I think it's a great project and a sort of Litecoin alternative in terms of mining for the masses. So I think there's great potential, and you know, there's further growth. So that's why I'm only going to sell a small portion of my portfolio at the minute. Now moving on to NEO. So NEO has had a nice pump and drive from its bottom of 200k, around about 200k. However, I think there's still some further movement to be had, a bit like Litecoin. We can see whenever NEO has a pump, it generally has a decent amount of pump. We can see here, I'm just highlighting, it has generally massive candles, you can see, and some good price movement. So I think there's further to go. So currently, I think we're looking at 42k. I think if we look at slightly lower, maybe around about 420k, I should say, rather 400k, I think would be a good entry point. But I would start off with a small amount, maybe 10% of my funds. I think 350k is looking even better if we do get to that level. So I would probably put maybe another 20% there. And if we do come back to the 250k level, I think that's where I would stick most of my money, because the upside potential is higher. I think at the minute, if you look at it from a TA point of view, it's above the 21-day moving average. It's above the 50-day. It's currently trying to come up to the 100-day. So I think if we hold there, go sideways a bit, we could have another pump up. So yeah, so I think all of these points are good entry points. However, I would try and stagger it towards the bottom, because again, we could have another mini correction, because there has been a nice run up in the last a week or two. Now, what would be my sell level? So again, similar to my earlier video on NEO, 790k at 50%, and that's to sell half of my portfolio at a 940k sats at 61.8 and 1.35 million sats at the 100% fib level. Cool. Now moving on to my next coin, we have POWR. Now with POWR, it's a very new coin, token rather, I should say, on the Ethereum network. I did a separate video on this, so if you want to find out what the project's about, there's a good summary that I've done about the project and the team. So it's very new. I think because of this, there's plenty of upside potential. It's currently above the 21-day moving average, although coming back for a correction at the moment. There's no 50-day at the minute. We haven't hit 50 days yet, so there's no real line available for that or beyond. And I think at the minute, for me, if we can come back down to the 5.5k mark, I think that'll be a good entry point. Again at the 5k mark, and then if we do hit the 4k again, I think these would be good entry points, because I don't think the current highs, as we saw around here back in November, is going to be the max. I think we're early on, and I expect it to go up in the long run. So I think for me, I'm not going to sell. I'm just going to add if we do come back to this level, and then wait for some significant cycles to determine whether to sell. Next one on my list, which is the final one, number 5, is POPULOUS PPT. So again, another one that I've covered early on. Now, I've actually used bitscreener.com to pull the charts on this, so do let me know if this is inaccurate or anything like that. I did check against CoinMarketCap and looked relatively okay. The reason why I've done this is I do a lot of my altcoin trading on Bittrex. I don't really have a Binance account, which is the only real account to or exchange we can trade POPULOUS. There's Ether Delta and a few others, I think, but that's more versus Ethereum, but not versus Bitcoin. And we had this nice pump here as a result of POPULOUS being listed on Binance. And again, I did a video on POPULOUS and said when it was around 120k sats, you know, if we do get a listing on a major exchange, we will have massive price action, and this is exactly what's happened. So I think with POPULOUS, it's now been around for a few months. It's having adoption. I think Luxure have done a trial deal with them. They're still early on their project, and for those that don't know, POPULOUS is an invoice financing solution, again on the Ethereum blockchain using smart contracts. And I think for me, we can see we're going through a potential correction, and I think if we look at the around about the 190k where we had previous resistance, I think this will be a good entry point, and again around about the 160k. And if we do come back down to the level when I did do my video on, when we were around about the 120k, I think this will be another good entry point. So I think at the minute, although we've had a bit of a correction, I don't think it's low enough. If we come to the 190k mark, that will be a 50% correction or thereabouts. I think this will be a good entry point. And again, as always, I recommend dollar cost averaging, buying more as the price comes down. So do try and have that in mind when buying your POPULOUS. Hopefully for those who have a Binance account, I might look into Binance, as it's currently on Bittrex. There's some restrictions on some of the new ICOs that I can't get involved in, so it's something that I might look into. So that's my video for now, guys. As always, try to keep it short and sweet so that you guys get a good point of view. So I think I'm going to wrap up there. Oh, just one more thing before I wrap up actually is you would see I've not actually got any sell levels again, because I think there's plenty of upside. It's a fairly newish project, I should say, but there's I think some further upside in my opinion, so I would just get in and hodl at this stage. And as we can see currently, we're far extended beyond the 21, 50 and 100-day moving averages, so that's why I think again we're in for a correction, and therefore we should wait at the levels I have highlighted with the dotted lines to get in and open a position. So cool, take two. So just to wrap up, hopefully this video is useful, guys, and as always, keep commenting, liking and sharing the content and subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.